All right, what is going on, guys? So the last 2 days for the free analysis, Euro USD, GBPUSD, and USDJPY have been 100%. So anybody watching this should be catching some pips. It's been working out beautifully. Last night we had a continuation. I didn't think it was going to really pull back. I thought it was just going to be a drop, and ended up doing that. And now we're at a point where, for those of you that don't know, we have news tomorrow. So at 8:30 Eastern, we have USD news. At 3:30 a.m. Eastern, we have Euro news, and it's gonna move the markets heavily. So I'm gonna do my analysis here, but take into account like this could be affected by that. It could completely take out what I'm saying and not go against it. I mean, it could push it all the way up, right? It could push this thing all the way up, and this won't happen. And usually I dictate that, but I go into the higher time frames. But if we're looking at it right now, the reason why I'm overall biased for a sell is because we have a low here, right? We had complete structure point that was broken, and then set a new low. And that when we have a new low, we look for a lower high. And it doesn't really look like this thing is wanting to go right back up again, based on what I'm seeing in the TDI and structurally with the wicks and all that, just kind of keeping liquidity up there. It retested a specific point in the market that has been significantly shown in the past to have it react, right? In the overall zone. Now we're starting to see it actually do something. So this could, and based on what I'm seeing here in the TDI, when I see stuff like this doesn't be like, oh, look, it's showing outside the volatility band. Let's look for a buy. No, it doesn't do that. This thing could just keep going like this. And it's weird how it does that sometimes, but ultimately that's just the truth of how it works. So now we're at a point where it actually went right down into the zone that we wanted it to go to, right? Blew past it actually, and came down, and it's pretty much touching this zone now, but it's pulling back. And now that it broke that zone, what's it going to do? It's going to retest and keep going. So let's take a look at what we're doing here on that and where we're thinking of it re-going. So this was the zone, broke through it. It's going to retest, broke through the trend line, broke through the support, and now we're looking for it to pull back into it. And more specifically, if not directly on the bottom of it, maybe a little bit towards this way. This is a nice supply zone that we have going on. It matches with the 50 EMA too, right? So we have the 50 EMA that looks really good. And yeah, so I think this one might turn out to do what we're wanting to. It might not do it. Like I said, there's news. It might not go exactly like this. It could just kind of do its thing, and then boom, news will push it. But going with the overall trend, I'm looking at this to be bearish, and we want to see it drop to down here. And this is a zone that is pretty significant on the daily. I'm not going to go too far back, but yeah, you guys get the point. No signs of reversal. You're not touching any buys until we see some massive pushes up with pullbacks, and then we go there. So next pair, let's go to GBP USD. Now this one, same bias as EU. This is GBP. It looks exactly the same as EU, almost minus the candles, but you get the point. We got a low, broke structure, pulling back, lower high, going back down to retest the low and potentially go down lower, right? So it's a complete downtrend. It's obvious. You can't get more obvious than that. Let's go to the weekly. Weekly, I had it dropping into the zone. It did exactly that. It is still within that zone, and I think it's going to fill that zone. I don't think we're really going to see a pullback. We are on the oversold zone on the daily, which gives us reason to believe that we could see a potential pullback, maybe a reversal that isn't actually a reversal. It is on a smaller time frame, but it's not on a bigger time frame. I'm thinking that we could potentially see it go up a little bit higher. This isn't my favorite setup, guys. It's not as clean movement. It doesn't show as clean of a movement that Euro USD does. So it's got to be something you take kind of lightly. I wouldn't recommend really trading this pair. Um, that's just my advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can tell you that out of the other things that I've seen tonight, besides Euro USD, GU, and UJ, that this is not the setup you want to be paying attention to. If you do, wait for it to pull back and then drop. But if I were you, I would stay away from GBP just because structurally it's just not clean. It's not the best. This thing can just do whatever it wants right now. And then we have USDJPY. Okay, so this one continued exactly the way we wanted it to. didn't pull into the zone, broke this one. And if we are going to see this thing continue, which there is no sign of reversals, there is a little bit of divergence. Well, technically, no, there isn't. Giving me signs that this thing wants to continue. This is where it's going to continue because that is the daily high, part of the daily high, right? So you have this wick right there. And if I move over, it's actually based on the 4 hour. I have a 4 hour candle, and I guess I'll just be more specific. Right here, it's the bottom of the high. So you got the high and then the low of the high. That is all the way, that is over here for a specific target for price to reach out to. And the reason why we have it going up that high is if we go out and zoom on the weekly, you'll see a bullish wedge where we have a high, a low, price gradually making its move up, price gradually being stuck inside a wedge, and it broke out. And there's no sign of it reversing, just like we see in the TDI here. We saw the same thing with EU, just constantly just going to keep dropping. This thing is going to shoot into that. So I think this news is just going to push it right into it. So anything USD, JPY, USD cheap, USD CAD, anything USD first is going to go up, and then anything USD secondary is going to drop. That's just my prediction based on what I'm seeing structured. I like to go with the higher time frames when it comes to USDJPY. Now, what we're going to do here is, if ideally we want to look for a pullback, right? So if we are going to look for a pullback, then this is exactly what we're going to want to see. We're going to want to see it drop down into the zone. Why? Because it's recent support, or recent resistance turn support, and it's also a little bit of a demand. So we have that area covered, and if it hits there, then we're going to either take it to the high, if you guys want to take it to the high, and then if you want to extend it, not saying you would want to, but I definitely see this thing continuing for sure. If not this week, definitely going to be next week. So let's see what happens. That's what you guys are looking for tonight. We're looking at EU and GU being bearish, USDJPY being bullish, and racking out. But be careful, there is news, and proper risk management. Don't risk anything you're not willing to lose. Peace out, guys.